This video is only for entertainment purposes. All the characters used in this video are fictional and has nothing to do with reality. Jimin pushes open the door to his house, expecting the usual warmth that greets him every time. But today, something is off, something unsettling, something too silent. Jimin to himself, confused. Strange. Why does it feel so different today? He steps inside, his eyes automatically darting towards the entrance where YN always stood. Smiling, ready to throw her arms around him. Jimin, soft chuckle, calling out, "Squirrel." "I'm home." Silence, no giggles. No footsteps rushing toward him, just silence. He exhales sharply, shaking off the odd feeling. He places his bag on the sofa and stretches his arms. Exhaustion weighing on him after back-to-back shifts at the hospital. He closes his eyes, expecting to hear her voice. Her teasing tone, the soft, warm presence he was so used to. But again, nothing. Jimin, frowning, mumbling to himself. Maybe she's still asleep. 15 minutes pass. He lets his tired body sink into the sofa, rubbing his temples. But the discomfort in his heart doesn't fade. Something is gnawing at him, a quiet yet persistent unease. Feeling thirsty, he gets up and heads to the kitchen. That's when his eyes fall on something on the floor, a milk bottle, lying there as if it had slipped from someone's hands. Jimin, confused, staring at the bottle. This is Juri's bottle, but why is it here? His heartbeat quickens. Note, this was the same feeding bottle that YN was bringing from the kitchen, but seeing Jungkook in front of her. The bottle slipped from her hand and fell on the floor. Jimin, whispering, voice tight, "No, she didn't, she wouldn't." Panic rising, he rushes to the hall, his eyes scanning for any more signs. And then, his gaze falls on the floor. Shoe prints, but whose? His own feet are in slippers. He had taken off his shoes at the entrance. Beads of sweat form on his forehead. His pulse pounds in his ears. His gaze shifts to the sofa. One of the pillows is slightly pressed, as if someone was sitting there not too long ago. Jimin, yelling, desperation creeping in. "Squirrel, where are you?" His legs move before he can process it. Racing to the bedroom, as soon as he bursts inside. His eyes immediately go to bed. Juri is there. Crying, his little daughter. Alone, wailing for her mother. Jimin, heart sinking, rushing to pick her up. "SHH. I'm here, baby, I'm here." He holds her close, gently patting her back, but his mind is spiraling. Where is YN? Why would she leave Juri alone? Still holding Juri, he glances around frantically. Then his eyes land on something resting on the bed. A piece of paper, a letter. Hands trembling, he reaches for it, unfolding the paper with growing dread. The letter, a message from YN. "My animal doctor, maybe you must have come home and I wasn't there to greet you. No problem, I have a surprise for you. Come and meet me in the same park, where I told you all the things related to my past. Where you asked me to marry you. Today, I want to give you my answer. Your squirrel." Jimin's eyes freeze on the last words. His grip tightens on the letter. Something shifts in him. A moment ago, he was drowning in nervousness. But now his expression changes. His jaw clenches, his lips part slightly. His breath comes out sharper. Jimin, low voice, realization hitting him like a storm. Why? Why so early in the morning? Why now? This doesn't feel like a simple surprise. He looks down at Juri, who has stopped crying, resting her tiny face against his shoulder. He kisses her forehead before turning towards the door. Jimin, determined, gripping the letter tightly. "I don't know what's happening. But I swear, YN, if this is what I think it is, if someone took you from me, then God help them." With that, he storms out of the house, Juri in his arms, heading straight for the park, unaware of the storm awaiting him there. On the other side, YN's life had turned into a nightmare ever since Jungkook entered it. Once full of happiness, her life was now filled with pain, regrets, and endless tears. She cursed the day she crossed paths with Jungkook, the day he slapped her, the day she and her friend, Sumi, stayed at that hotel after winning a lottery. But amidst this storm, there was one bright spot, Jimin. If it weren't for Jungkook's chaotic presence, she would have never met Jimin, who brought warmth and dreams back into her life. Now, as YN sat silently in the car beside Jungkook, her heart ached with memories. Gathering her courage, she pleaded with Jungkook to let her meet Jimin one last time. The memories that she had spent with Jimin in these 1 year were no less than a dream. She had thought about everything about her future with Jimin, but Jungkook's past came back to haunt her. She was a bird of the open sky, but in one night she was going back to the cage owned by a devil named Jungkook. After 15 minutes of silence, YN looked at Jungkook and said with thousands of tears and hope in her eyes, "YN, Jungkook, please, can I meet Jimin once? Just one last time. I will never say anything to you again." Jungkook stares at her with his devilish eyes, as if he will eat her raw. YN, looking at him like this, once again gathers courage and says, "YN, Jungkook, I stayed with you for a year. Whatever you asked me to do, I did it for you. We were intimate with you as many times as you wanted. I endured all the torture you inflicted on me. And even now, I'm not refusing you. Even now, I will do all that for you. But can't you let me meet Jimin just once? You never gave me anything, but you snatched everything from me. You never gave me any happiness. So can't you give me a little happiness before leaving?" She was still looking at Jungkook with a lot of hope. I don't know why. This was the first time when Jungkook was going to agree to something so soon. Otherwise, he was the master of his own will. Jungkook looked straight at her and said, "Okay, crybaby, you can meet Jimin, but only for 20 minutes. If you don't come back to this car in 20 minutes, then I will shoot Jimin in front of you. Tell Taehyung the address where you have to go to meet Jimin. Even if it is only for 20 minutes. YN is happy that she can see Jimin before leaving here. She immediately gives the address of a park to Taehyung sitting in the front. YN, thank you so much, Jungkook." Author POV, her voice trembled with desperation as she reminded Jungkook of all the suffering she had endured, the endless torture, the intimacy forced upon her, the sacrifices she made. She begged for just one moment of happiness, a final meeting with Jimin before being dragged back to Jungkook's cruel world. There is complete silence in the car for 25 minutes. And suddenly, the car brakes and Taehyung gets out of the car and opens the door towards YN. A little happiness was visible on YN's face, and she started running inside the park. Seeing YN leaving, Jungkook signals something to Taehyung from inside the car. Understanding his gesture, Taehyung closes the car door and follows YN. I hope you enjoyed the episode today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe and comment. My dear viewers, I'm busy right now, but I'm still posting for you guys.